Hello and welcome. My name is Melissa. I am the owner and artist here at the Top Shore RVA located in Richmond, Virginia. I'm also a Dixie Belle and Woodubend Brand Ambassador. Today for our Back to Basics series, we're going to learn about Woodubend. Have you tried Woodubend? It's bendy wood and it's really cool. So today, stay tuned. We're going to learn all about what this little thing can do. So let's talk shop a little bit, shall we? Let's talk a little bit about what exactly is Woodubend. So Woodubends are moldings that are actually coming over here from Europe. They are carried by Dixie Belle Paint Company as well as available on the Woodubend website. So these little moldings come in all different shapes and sizes. This one right here just happens to be Woodubend number 1002. They're all numbered so you can find them very easily. Okay, so what can you do with Woodubend? And what are you gonna do with Woodubend? Well, there's a couple of things that you can do that I personally do pretty much every time I fix a piece of furniture. You can add keyholes, you can add molding, you can add trim, you can add decor to any piece. You can fix edges and you can really bend this around any product. The great thing about Woodubend is that it's actually a wood product, okay? So this product is wood. This is actually wood formed into a mold. It arrives flat like this. You can see the flatness in the shape, and it also arrives on a wood backing so that it won't break. Because right now in its cold state, it's actually fragile. If you were to try and bend this right now before you heat it up, it's gonna break. So you need to actually take Woodubends and heat them to become malleable, bendable, and shapeable. It's really cool. I'm gonna show you how. So Woodubend comes in different shapes and sizes, okay? From tiny little keyholes to huge rolls of trim. And I'm gonna drop in the photos right here that you can see where I use this product to fix the bottom of a broken dresser. So this is a Woodubend trim roll. You can see how it's hard like this. I'm gonna heat it up for you and show you. When you heat this up and you pull it apart, it becomes one big long strip. You can then cut it, you can stain it, you can paint it, you can sand the edges. I mean, the options are truly endless, and I think you'd be surprised how a little Woodubend goes a very long way. So what do you need to actually do Woodubending? It's really simple actually. You need wood glue. Any kind of wood glue will work. Because this product is wood, they recommend that you have wood glue to adhere it to your piece. You can adhere it to anything: glass, metal, furniture, wood, crafting projects, jewelry boxes. I mean, I think I've put them on a little bit of everything at this point. Then you're gonna need a source of heat. You're going to need a hair dryer or a heat gun or even a pancake griddle. Because if this was your pancake griddle and you set your roll of trim on here, guess what's gonna happen? This is gonna get nice and warm, it's gonna get bendy, and you're gonna be able to unroll it really quickly. If you have a large molding that you were bending around a surface, once you heat it up, you can bend it. So if you wanted to put it on the edge of a piece and curve it around the corners, that is a totally doable option. I'm gonna again drop them in the photos right here beside me so you can see a couple different ways that I have used Woodubend. So let's show you some Woodubend in action. So you can see how this product can kind of change your furniture world or your crafting world. All right, so I have on the floor my wood glue. This is Type Bond. This is available on the Dixie Belle Paint page. Again, I'll link it in the description for you so you can check it out, all right? You're also gonna have a source of heat. Here's my heat gun, right? You don't need a ton of power, you just need a little warming up of your molding. I also have a pair of scissors on the floor. You can use a piece of sanding paper, whatever you need to kind of make that piece work for what you're doing. So we're gonna look at a couple different ways you can use it today. So this is Woodubend trim. When it arrives, it's secure in this little package so that if it kind of drops in shipping, it's not gonna break. It stays nice and sturdy in here. This is something that every furniture maker or crafter should have in their toolbox. I use this all the time. You know when you get a dresser that has broken trim all along the bottom and the veneer is coming up, or a whole edge that's missing a section of trim? This is gonna save the day. Let's heat it up and show you how it unrolls and becomes soft for you to use. So the trim itself is in a roll, a tight roll. Once you start heating it up, you're going to be able to start pulling it away from this roll. You're going to see it start to move. See how it becomes bendy? Heating that trim roll up makes it unroll so that you can spread it out, cut the amount that you need, and then you're able to apply it to your piece. Okay, so now you see that this rigid, hard roll is now bendy. Check it out, super neat, right? So this is your trim roll. You can then unroll the amount that you need. If you measured your size that you need before you want to stick it on, you can pull it out, lay it flat again, heat it up, and you're ready to go and stick it on. I'm gonna show you another neat little trick over here. If I can find them, my scissors. So when Woodubend is warm, you're able to cut it with a knife or cut it with scissors. I love the ability to just cut it with scissors at the end, exactly where you need it rolled out. When it's warm, you can cut it, you can sand it. When it's hard, you can drill it, you can sand it, paint it, stain it, all of the things. So now I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite Woodubends, and we're going to apply one or two, maybe more, to this cute little cupboard door that I have behind me. All right, there's all sorts of different sizes, different styles. The keyholes are kind of key for when you have a piece, say, missing a keyhole or the casing is broken. You can always stick them on. It's very easy to do, but I love these little steampunk gears. If you know me, you know I've done a lot of steampunk style pieces. I like that kind of dark Gothic look. And adding in little gears like this to your piece really make it shine. I love these pieces. I'm going to show you a couple more, and then we're going to stick one on the piece. I've already showed you the rolls of trim. We have smaller ones that I save in a little Ziploc bag because they come in a pack of 2. So I'll kind of keep them in here to keep them safe. They're all numbered, so if you were to write it down or look for an order, you can kind of keep that with it, and then you would have it. So I like this one. I use it a lot on the front of a dresser. I like to paint these with gold mousse after my piece is being painted, heat it up, and then stick it on. This way you're able to really add a bit of shine to your molding, a bit of shine to your piece. It's a great way to dress up a piece of furniture. Dixie Belle carries some Woodubends that are exclusive just to Dixie Belle. But if you're looking for more Woodubend paint products, I'm gonna put a link in the description where you can look at all of the products available. I believe at this point they have over 3,000. This was a couple years ago, so I know there's more. I know they've released new designs. The options are seriously endless. I love the little flowers to build up like around the corners or to add to maybe even the top of a piece or a jewelry box. Today we're going to add a fairly big molding. Let's take this one and add it to the front of the piece. All right, so you're going to take your little Woodubend molding and you're going to flip it upside down. You're going to lay it down on a surface that you're able to heat it on. FYI, moving blankets, they will catch on fire. Ask me how I know. It's happened to me before. Don't heat your Woodubend moldings on a flammable surface, okay? I'm going to put it down here on the floor and I'm going to heat it with my heat gun. It just takes a short bit, a little bit of heat, depending on the thickness of your Woodubend, and then it becomes bendy. So a little blast with my heat gun allows it to become a little bit more malleable, a little bit more bendy. Your next step is going to be able to take your wood glue and you're going to stick it on the back of your piece. I personally like to use a brush for this because I like to get my wood glue all around the edges. So you're going to kind of paint on your wood glue while your piece is still warm. Don't worry, if it starts to cool, you can totally heat it again, and then we're going to stick it on the piece. So I'm just putting my wood glue on here, spreading it around, making sure I'm getting it on all of the edges, okay? So if you happen to get too much glue on here and it starts to seep out from underneath your piece, that's not a big deal either. I'm going to show you a way to take the excess off. One more thing that I like to have handy before I stick that Woodubend on my piece is a piece of tape. Once you get it on your piece, you're actually ready to paint. But I like to kind of tape it up, especially on a vertical surface like this. If this was the front of a dresser and I was working, I'd really want it to be, secure and stuck on there and not slide down. So I'm going to take my Woodubend and I'm going to center it or decide where you'd like to put it with its wood glue on there and stick it right on. All right. So once it's on, you like to tape it, like me, I'm a bit of a safety girl, but you're gonna wanna heat it again. The directions on the Woodubend are heat before and heat after. Even though that looked flat, no surface is really ever truly flat, and you kind of know this if you're a furniture flipper. Sometimes things get bent or warped. You always want to ensure that it's going to stay flat. So give it another little blast of heat and press it firmly to your surface, and you have added your Woodubend to the piece. You take it from pretty boring and blah to pretty darn fabulous. Now I'm going to show you what you can do with this Woodubend. We're going to clean up the edges of this glue so I can show you exactly how to get rid of that, and we're going to paint it. Okay, since this is a back to basics tutorial, I want to teach you all the things, good, bad, all the nitty gritty. You need to know how to fix it if you make a mistake, okay? So you can see here how the wood glue itself is a little bit too much wood glue. Dun, dun, dun. It happens. It's not a big deal. All you're going to want to do is take a paintbrush, any size, and dampen your paintbrush. When you dampen your paintbrush, you can really get in there and pull off that excess glue. You're able to get in there and kind of like scoop it out. Keep re-wetting your paintbrush, and you can easily remove that excess glue. If you didn't want to remove the excess glue, it's going to dry. Totally no big deal. You can still paint over top of it. It's not a problem. I've done that before as well. But taking a dampened paintbrush and going around those edges is going to remove that glue so that you can have a clean and shiny surface. So right now it's stuck there. It's on. It's only been like a minute or so. I don't need to leave the tape on it. I could get my paintbrush and paint over top of it right now. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to show you how Woodubend can take a boring door like this and make it totally fabulous. We're also going to take it off at the end because maybe you didn't want that Woodubend on after you're all done. Maybe that piece was a practice piece and you want to reuse it. You can actually heat up your Woodubends after they've been painted, after all of the stuff. Take a little spatula, get it under there, remove it, and use it again, which is pretty cool. Especially if you wanted to maybe get a different look on a piece or the molding didn't work out. It's totally your call. You're the boss of you. You can leave it or take it off when you're done. Okay, so let's paint this Woodubend. Because this is a wood product, you're able to paint it or stain it exactly the same as you would paint or stain your furniture. You're gonna wanna take your paint on your brush and just kind of stipple it in the edges. I like to pounce in my paint around the Woodubends. Kind of helps me get into the detail. Another helpful hint is to actually give your paint a little bit more of a liquid viscosity, because if it's a bit more wet, you're going to be able to really get it in and around those edges to cover this surface with paint. Look, how cool, right? If this was the front of a cupboard, you could do so many things. Let's get this paint on here, dry it, and we can even drill a new hole right through the middle of the Woodubend to put in some hardware. It's gonna look fabulous. I've done it before. I love these as a back plate for hardware. So let's pretend that our little cupboard door has been completely painted with Woodubend, all of the edges. Now it's become one with the piece. Check it out. Look how great that looks. Our Woodubend is now dry. Our paint has dried. If this was the front of the buffet, how amazing would that look? I'm going to show you a great way to make Woodubend detail pop. And I kind of do it, it's like a signature style. I do it a little bit on all of my pieces. This is gilding wax from Dixie Belle. It comes in a lot of different colors. I like copper, I like gold, I like a little bit of shine, a little sparkle on everything. I'm going to take a small little paintbrush and show you a way to really add some movement to this piece. All you need to do is take your wax and start to drag it down over those edges. You can use Woodubend on any way. If you did like a little dry brush, it always looks amazing, but I really like to highlight those details and make them pop on the piece. Another way you can use your Woodubend is to actually drill right through it. If I wanted to use, say, this as the center part to put my knob in my piece, it's very easy just to take your drill and actually drill through the Woodubend. It's that easy. It's wood, so you can drill it, stain it, sand it, etc. If the hole is big enough, which, let's see if it is, you can pop that new hardware right in the middle. That way you can make a new backplate for your piece. Whatever you like, it looks fabulous. Get off some of that sawdust and you're good to go.
If you make a mistake or you wanted to remove this Woodubend, it's very easy. Take your heat gun, heat it up until it's a little bit bendy, get that metal spatula right underneath the edge and pull it off. Of course, this one was just put on not too long ago, so it was quite easy. You might have a little more grunt work behind it if it's been on there a little while.
So now I'm going to save this little Woodubend. If I want to, I could fill in this hole with wood filler. You wouldn't even know it was there. Save it for another rainy day, keep it, repaint it, use it in another piece. I'm totally saving this. I love my Woodubend. I may be a brand ambassador, but I am a little bit of a super fan. I'm going to show you with some pictures a bunch of Woodubend projects that I've completed.
Thanks for joining me on this fun little Woodubend journey. I hope you learned something from this Back to Basics tutorial all about Woodubend.